So now that I've put a significant amount of time into the first free title update for Monster Hunter Wilds, I figured I'd bring out a video and give you guys my opinions on it so far. First and foremost, spoiler warning, we're going to be talking about the final boss of the game, as well as the high rank version of that boss, its armor set, all of that good stuff. So if you are concerned about spoilers, then please come back later. But anyways, let's get started by talking about the Grand Hub. Now, the Grand Hub is Monster Hunter Wilds Gathering Hall. That is something that is very important for me personally, and I understand that for a lot of people you might be a little bit confused. Maybe you joined in Monster Hunter Wilds for the first time, so maybe you look at the Gathering Hall and you're like, oh, this doesn't seem like such a big deal. But you need to understand that in some of the older games like Monster Hunter World and the games that came before that, the Gathering Hall was required for you to even be able to see your fellow hunters. Now, I understand that in Monster Hunter Wilds, you can just join in on pretty much any village in the game, and you can see other players roaming about doing their thing. In the older Monster Hunter games, that was not the case. And the only way to actually see your friends was to go to the Gathering Hall. You go to the Gathering Hall, then you can also do a little arm wrestling. You can drink. Your hunters could actually get drunk, which is something that does not appear to be included in this particular Gathering Hall. Makes me a little bit sad because I like it when you can just like drink, keep chugging beers, and then your hunter like starts, wobbling around, then falls over to the ground. Like, that was funny. I wish that we could get our hunters drunk because that was fun. But anyways, regardless of that, the reason why I'm particularly happy about the Grand Hub is because with Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, we didn't really get a Gathering Hall in that game. Now, we had a Gathering Hub for Monster Hunter Rise, but when they introduced the expansion of Sunbreak, they never really brought one out. And it seemed to me that the overall community sentiment was like, we don't really care. We can see our hunter friends when we're in the village, so it doesn't really matter. And to me, that was just never really sat right with me. I was like, no, I want my little clubhouse. And if you guys go back and you watch my review of Monster Hunter Wilds, you'll notice that was one of the things that I pointed out. I was like, what's going on? There's no Gathering Hub. Like, what's happening? Luckily, shortly after the embargo lifted, Capcom actually announced, no, there is going to be a Gathering Hall, and that is the Grand Hub. Now, one of the things that the community has been saying is like, oh, the game was unfinished. We're getting the Gathering Hub in a title update. Now, my opinion, and by the way, I don't have any insider information or anything in regards to that, but in my opinion, the reason why we didn't get the Gathering Hub on release was actually intentional. I shouldn't say the reason. It was more like, from my view of the situation, I feel like it was intentional. They wanted to release it later. Now, this might be due to them wanting to have a longer-term player engagement because, people hear, oh, the Gathering Hall is coming back, and the people log back into the game because by then there's time for, most really hardcore players, or even like your mid-core players, not really like casuals, but not really like super hardcore, will be done with the story. They might be grinding some stuff. They might even be done with the grinding. They've made their set for the weapons that they care for, and they're kind of like in maintenance mode, waiting for more content to come to the game in the form of title updates. Gathering Hub comes around, big splash, everybody jumps back in, and that gives you that longer term engagement. That might have been one of the reasons. The other reason that I've heard people say, it's like, oh, maybe they didn't want it to overwhelm new players with all of these new things, and they want to let players get in at a slower pace. But whatever the reason happened to be, I definitely believe that it was intentional, that the Gathering Hub was going to be coming later down the line rather than at release. And people might think that, like, oh, they just released the game too soon, and that's why the Gathering Hub wasn't there. I don't think that's the case. That's not to say that they didn't release the game too soon, because obviously the performance issues were still there, and there were other problems with the game that some people will want to criticize, etc., etc. I want to focus on the title update, but I just wanted to bring up that I think it was intentional to do things like this. Whether or not we're gonna like the fact that they did things like this, that remains to be seen, because it does suck that, like, if you got the physical version of the game, that means that the Gathering Hub is not on your disc, so to speak. So if the servers ever go down, we all know the deal. We know how this stuff works when it comes to game preservation and all that. So, there's obviously some downsides there, but I just don't know, dude. I feel like physical media is just in such a terrible state. Like, if you look at the Nintendo Switch Direct, it's just like, bro, game key cards, really? So I kind of like, I'm I'm kind of out of the physical media almost at this point. There are still some things that I want to get in physical, but it's just not something that's even on my mind. And that's not to say that we should accept it or we should mention it or whatever. That is to say that, you know, for me, it doesn't make that big of a difference that it's coming later. Regardless, we got the Gathering Hub. Grand Hub, really like it. I like the overall themes on it. I think it's a ton of fun. I like the diva singing. That is really cool. I like the barrel bowling thing. That is also really cool. I haven't really done any arm wrestling because I've mostly been playing solo because the difficulty just really isn't there right now. And if I jump into multiplayer, the difficulty is going to go down significantly. And therefore, I've mostly been playing solo because, you know, I do little challenges like, oh, I'll not use my sacred or something like that. And I still feel like we need harder things. And I know that for a lot of people, they're like, oh my god, Zosia is the hardest monster in the game. Number one, I disagree. I think that 5 strength Gormagala would beat the crap out of Zosia. I think that Zosia is a cool fight. And the first time that I fought Zosia, I think it took me like, I don't know, 16 to 18 minutes or whatever to finish the fight. And we carded once. But do remember that up until that point, I had never upgraded my armor. So I was still running around unupgraded armor. Super suboptimal set that I was playing around with. So it is what it is, right? But we go into Zosia, take like 16 or 18 minutes, whatever, to kill him, and I was like, yes! That felt good! You know? I kind of feel like that should be the average time for a more challenging hunt, you know, 18 to 20 minutes. That is my belief, and I know that a lot of people vehemently disagree with me. They voice their disagreement with me all the time. I get it, but to me, that should be your average, you know, tougher hunt. Should take about 20 minutes. That's just, I am never going to change my mind on that. And listen, I understand that you disagree and you have reasons for disagreeing, but I want you to understand that that's not going to change my mind. I strongly believe this. And I actually think that your average hunt, like for a casual hunter that is just like roaming around, doing his thing, I think it should be anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes. Like, let's say a tier 2 monster like a Rathalos, something like that. 12 to 15 minutes. That, in my opinion, should be the time. And then, like, your lower tier monsters should be about 10 minutes. And that, by the way, is faster than it was in older games. Significantly faster. So, like, 10 minutes for crappy monster like Chatacabra or whatever. And then, like, 12 to 15 minutes for, like, your Rathalos, whatever. And then 20 minutes for your Zoshias and all of that stuff. That's the way that I feel. And I would love to see the game move more in that direction. Probably not going to happen, so I'm going to do my best to enjoy it the way that it is right now. But anyways, the Zosia fight was a ton of fun. I liked Zoshia's Gunlance because it is a viable Gunlance, which, you know, I'll talk more about Gunlances in a bit. But, like, Zosia is just a tremendously fun fight. I like fighting him. However, it also made me realize that I'm not a big fan of the resting mechanic. I don't like the way that you can just like fast forward time by resting. And this is another one of those things that most people in the community tend to disagree with me. They're like, you're a hunter, you rest, you're monitoring your target. It's like, no, let's be honest here. What you are doing is you're spinning a slot machine and asking for new monsters and seeing if you get the monster that you want. I think Gaijin rested like over 10 times to get Zosia to spawn, whereas I was just like doing other things. Like I was doing all the arena quests, which are fun, by the way. Arena quests are fun. Even though arena is not really my main type of content when I come to Monster Hunter, because I like making my own sets, and arena is just like, I go in there, I'll have some fun, it's whatever, I don't really care that much. But you know, we got arena, I was doing arena quests, I was doing Mizutsune, tempered Mizutsune, and all of that, and trying to see if Zosia would spawn. And I remember that in 8 hours of stream, because we streamed for like 9 hours on the day of the update, and on 8 hours of streaming, Zosia did not spawn organically in my maps once. Not exaggerating. You can go check the VOD, I think at around the hours, 30 minutes, whatever I was talking about this. But within 8 hours, over 8 hours of streaming, Zosia did not spawn organically in my maps once. And when I say organically, I mean by like me not resting. I was just like doing other things and hoping to see a Zosia spawn. Which, you know, then people go, well, you can just rest. And it's like, I don't like the idea of resting. I don't like the idea of just like, oh, I don't like the current monster pool that is available to me. Let me just refresh this and get like a whole different set of monsters in every map. I don't know, man. I like the idea of living off the land, which is a limitation that I put on myself when I was going through the game during the campaign for the stream playthrough. That is a limitation that I put on myself. I was like, no resting. We don't rest. We have to live off the land. We have to figure out how to evolve and how to progress with the monsters that are available to us right now. And again, this is another one of those points. And how should I explain this? Because people tend to get very defensive whenever I say something that they don't agree with. It's just like everybody's so argumentative nowadays. It's like, I want people to understand, I'm not trying to convince you that the way that I look at this is better than the way that you look at this. That is to say, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just expressing the things that I like. And I'm not even saying that they need to change the game around the things that I like. Because one of the things that I realize is that the things that I like about Monster Hunter and the things that I want for Monster Hunter are not necessarily what is better for the game's success. They're not. It's just, and which is fine. But I just happen to have some very peculiar tastes. And I love the fact that I limited myself in the campaign, and I was like, oh, I can't rest. But the problem is that now when you get to the end game, if I don't rest, I can't get access to the monsters because there's no mechanics to get access to these monsters organically. It's just like, well, good luck. And there should... I almost wish there was a different way of doing things. And I'm not asking the devs to change anything before we go anywhere with this. But I almost wish there was a different way of doing things that would feel more organic rather than like, yep, let me spin the slot machine, get a different set of monsters, keep spinning the slot machine until it eventually spawns. And it's not about the points cost. I have enough points to rest for like, you know, keep resting. I don't have a problem with any of the amount of resources that you need to spend in order to actually make him spawn. As a matter of fact, the first time we rested, we made Zosia spawn. It was like literally the first rest that we did. We rested until inclemency or whatever. Boom, Zosia was there. And when we killed him. We also tried doing some SOSs. Seems like the multiplayer system was very, very rough to try and get some SOSs on Zosia. You have to be really, really fast because during that first day, trying to get some Zosia SOSs was one of the more reliable ways to get Zosia parts if you could prevent people from actually carting. But... yeah, so eventually we did rest. Eventually we did get our Zosia. We started farming out. We didn't really farm out his full set on day one, but we did get his Gunlance. Now, before we get to the Gunlance talk, let's talk about Tempered Mizutsune. I mean, regular Mizutsune and Tempered Mizutsune. Mizutsune is still, you hit him in the head a couple of times and he just, like, falls over. That's just good old Mizu, man. You smack him in the head and you just like, oh, help. I've fallen and I can't get up. But they did give him a couple of Soul Seer moves, and he did pull off a couple of expedient carts in my face with his little tail slam because I'm a greedy little bastard. And every single time he would go for the back slam, the Soul Seer back slam, I'd be like, I can parry that. And sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I got. Sometimes he just murdered me in cold blood with that Soul Seer back slam. And it was a blast. I loved it. I love the fact that they gave him one-shot potential. That is good. Tempered 5 strength Mizutsune feels very good to fight. Regular Mizutsune is obviously on the easy side because it's Mizutsune. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the gear. In terms of I haven't talked about Zosia gear. I'm a little bit all over the place, but Zosia is going to be featured in my build, so whatever. But Mizutsune gear is, you can no longer get Bubble Blight coupled. I mean, at least currently, you can't get Bubble Blight coupled with, what's it called in this one? You know, the thing is, we used to do it in Rise Sunbreak, where you combine Bubble Blight with the thing that gives you attack while you have an ailment. You can't really do it because in this game you need 3 pieces of Jin Dahad in order to get that thing. I don't even know what they call it. Jin Dahad's Lord Favor, Lord Fervor, whatever it's called. But you can't get that coupled together with Mizu's Bubble Blight because Bubble Blight requires 4-piece Mizutsune, which was kind of disappointing because that was obviously the combo that I wanted to do with Mizu, because that's kind of like the obvious combo. And Bubble Blight, for my personal weapon, doesn't even feel that good right now because we have so much power through perfect blocking that trying to do evade gunlancing just feels off. Because you're just missing out on opportunities to counter, missing out on all these things. So I don't know, maybe it's me, but it doesn't really gel with me all that much. But I'm sure that, you know, for something like Dual Blades, it'll probably be fun, even though I don't know if you want to be sacrificing like a lot of the offensive potential that you can get on other sets just to go and get Bubble Dance. But at least it's an option. Pretty sure that I could make something fun with like a Sword and Shield or something like that. But you know, the option is there if you want to play around with it. But I feel like it being a 4-piece set bonus, because with the 2-piece set bonus, it just kind of like reduces the effects of Bubble Blight or whatever whenever you're fighting Mizutsune. And then you need a 4-piece bonus so that whenever you actually dodge, it triggers you getting Bubble Blight after a certain amount of dodges. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about it being a 4-piece set bonus, but that's what they went with, you know. In terms of its Gunlance, because that's really the only weapon that I care about all that much, Mizu's Gunlance is pretty much worthless because it doesn't have slightly strong shelling. Doesn't really have anything that is particularly good from what I can remember from even its stats or anything like that. So even in terms of raw damage, whatever. So it's, you know, you can use it if you want to, but it's not really a big deal. It's whatever. And then for the Zosia Gunlance, we got another viable Gunlance, which is cool. Now, I want people to understand something. At the end of the day, from all the testing that I've done, I think that G Lawful Boars, that is to say Guardian Arkveld's Gunlance, is still the best Gunlance in the game, even after Title Update 1, and I think that's fine. But the thing that I want people to understand is that I love what they've done with Gunlance in Monster Hunter Wilds, not just because of the, you know, improved moveset and all of that stuff, but due to the fact that unlike with Monster Hunter World, and unlike what we had with Rise and Sunbreak, we have a lot of viable Gunlances. They might not be meta, because I don't think anything's really going to touch Guardian Arkveld, but they're viable. You can at least get maximum shelling with, I think I counted this on stream and it was like 8 of the Gunlances have slightly strong shelling. I was like, bro, 8 Gunlances being viable? That's got to be like a record. In World, it was like 3. And then in Rise, it was like another 3. So it's like 8 Gunlances actually being viable? That's like a world record, and I'm so happy. I'm just like, thank you. I can actually play around and do dumb things with all these Gunlances, which obviously I turned around and I immediately did something super dumb with Zosia's Gunlance, which is I put like 4-piece Rathalos in there, which got like Scorcher 2, which increases the little damage proc because the Zosia Gunlance and all the Zosia weapons come with this ability that gives you a little proc of damage every now and then when you're attacking. So I was like, yeah, let's put this with Scorcher 2, increases the damage of that proc. Let's go, baby. And I just made a Scorcher 2 set to make that thing pop, and it was funny. I thought it was cool. I was having fun. I was having a ton of fun, and yeah. Then eventually we went on and we did a more meta build, something that's maybe a little bit more efficient. And even though I'm saying meta build, it's probably not that meta, but it's meta enough that, you know, I was able to just like destroy stuff significantly faster. Like we were doing 11 minutes on Zosia, give or take. That is with dropping rocks, obviously, but it was just way more offensive and at the same time also more defensive, which I kind of like. I kind of like playing around with that. So here's what we landed on, and a lot of you guys are going to go like, oh my god, what is going on? Rurikhan going crazy. But anyways, obviously, I'm going to try and show you as much of the build as possible. I had some complaints in previous videos. People like, you don't show the full build. I did. It's just it's spread out where I'm explaining stuff. So here you go. Here's the whole build. Here's the whole set. And then we can go here and you can see all of the decorations. And we can scroll here and you can see all of the other things. There you go. That's the build. Now, let me try and explain it a little bit. So obviously, G-Lawful Boar is best Gunlance. But to be honest, you can put whatever Gunlance you want in here, because it's kind of like Gunlance it's weapon agnostic. As a matter of fact, it doesn't even have to be a Gunlance build. It can be a build for pretty much anything. But the Gunlance is going to particularly excel at it because it's got burst. We have the 4-piece bonus from Zosia, because that is basically going to give us super regen, which was the Valhazak set bonus in previous games. I like that. I like regenning. It's constantly regenning my health. Big fun. And then we do Mizutsune's legs, because Mizutsune's legs come with a tier 3 slot, and at the same time, it has level 2 burst, which is pretty friggin' good. Now, in terms of talisman, we have Convert Charm, which gives us Convert Element, which is an ability that I like, because every now and then you get to see a little burst of dragon damage on the monster. Personally, I like that. I understand that for a lot of people are going to go like, well, I want something a little bit more meta. Okay, well, you can put Peak Performance on here and you can replace Counter-Strike with Peak Performance if that's something that you want. There's a lot of things that you can do to play around with this, and you can put whatever talisman you want. I like Convert Element personally. Feel free to do something different. Now, in terms of slots, obviously Artillery 3 on the Gunlance. Then we have Magazine Attack on the second slot, and we have Guardian. Then we have Chain Decos to max out burst. We have Counter. I know that a lot of people might not like Counter, which is why I said you can change that for peak performance, or you can change it for Part Breaker, or you can change it for whatever you want. If you want a little bit more comfort, you can even put in Evade Extender, which if you'll notice, I didn't even put Evade Extender because I just go straight up into the monster's face and get it going. Now, an important thing is they buffed Rocksteady, and Rocksteady right now is busted OP, and that is one of the reasons why I like running Counter. Because basically you pop Rocksteady at the beginning of a fight, and you just like Wyvern Stake full blast that monster to death. And Counter is going to be proccing every time the monster significantly hits you, but because you got Rocksteady, it doesn't really matter. You can take a beating and you can just keep on going. So that's the whole point of the build. We got Artillery level 3, Guard level 2, Load Shells level 2, Attack Boost and Offensive Guard level 1, Full Agitator, Full Bursts, Full Counter Strike, Recovery Speed, Convert Element 2, Elemental Absorption 2, Coalescence 1. We have Zosia Super Recovery 2, and we have Ward of Wyveria. Which Ward of Wyveria isn't even one of my favorite things, but, you know, it is what it is. But basically, at the end of the day, how do I feel about Title Update 1? Ton of fun. Had an absolute blast jumping back into the game. As a matter of fact, it's funny because I've been wanting to record this video for 2 days now, and I just jump into the game and get completely lost hunting a bunch of monsters, and I'm like, oh man, I should have recorded this video, and I still haven't recorded this video, but I'm just having so much fun hunting. It's like, you know, and I just keep hunting, I just keep going. But an important thing is we still need harder things. I need something harder. I've heard that apparently there's people complaining that Zosia is too hard. And I'm just like, oh no, not this nonsense again, please. I've heard there might be a couple of complaints with the fact that Tempered Mizutsune has one-shot potential, and I was like, oh no, here we go again. It's Outreon time again. And it's like, look, Capcom is finally baring its fangs a little bit, and I want them to go for the jugular. Give me something hard. Give me something meaty. Something for me to gnaw my teeth on. And remember, this is just the first part of the title update because we have a festival coming up closer to the end of the month, and I'm sure that is going to bring with it a lot of events, a lot more challenging stuff for us to do. And personally, I can't wait. How do you guys feel about the title update? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.